I'm actually so done. Me. This is almost becoming as much of a tradition on this channel as the predictions video, because here we go again. At least this time it's not season ending allegedly, but it is the first hammy for a few years, and it's the same story and it's the same pattern. Every preseason everyone writes off Manly, then we come out, have a good performances, everyone sees how good our team is on paper, and everyone starts putting us as a contender for the NRL Premiership. Then a bad performance happens, and before we can turn things back around, Tommy gets injured, and now any chance of us making the top 4 is pretty much gone with it. And now look, this team is still probably good enough to finish the top 8, but in the NRL you need to finish top 4, at least top 6 to have any chance of winning the competition, and maybe top 6 is still on, depending on how well we can go for the rest of the year. But I just think that we've absolutely ruined what was a great start to the season, and now Tommy's going to be gone, because Manly, that's another double-digit lead they have blown. That makes it 6 on the year. All 4 of Manly's losses now, besides one which was to the Dragons, fair credit, they have pretty much blown. So I guess in some respect you can say that Manly have never actually lost because the other team was better besides the Dragons game, which is quite funny considering what I said about them in the preseason. But the loss to Para, the loss to the Raiders last week, and even last night, Manly had double-digit leads and then decided to absolutely throw them in the rugby league bin. It's getting very concerning that Manly still haven't seemed to solve the issue, and this is an issue that goes back pre the Seabold days, ever since that bloody Cowboys game that Chad Townsend decided to use the intro for his vlogs. Manly and Leeds just haven't become the best of friends. Shout out to the Dolphins, they are playing so well above their weight, and I know they've had the bye, but they're still in the top 4, and you have to give them credit for that. They are definitely a top 8 smoky. While there's some teams I still think on paper that probably aren't going to make the 8, should be making the 8, and should be finishing above them, I can definitely see the Dolphins making the 8, and this is just another bow in the cap of how good Wayne Bennett is, and there's no reason why South City should be giving that man $1 billion. But this is not the time for some Dolphins wind up. It's the time to cry, and I get it. It's very, very funny. Obviously, the Hello Sport boys do talk a lot of smack. Obviously, I do as well. Obviously, Manly have been notoriously hated on because we have been successful, except for the last part of a decade. It's the same cycle year in, year out, as I said at the beginning of the video, and it's hard. You spend all this money on memberships, you spend all this money to go to the games, you spend your KO money, and this thing happens again. I get it. It's only rugby league, and there are, even within rugby league, there are some fan bases that have had it so much worse, not just this year, but in the past few years than Manly, because unfortunately, like I said, Manly's almost in a stalemate. Our team's too good to justify a full rebuild. We probably have the form 7 of the competition right now. We've got the best defending middle forward in the competition, arguably the best back rower, and probably 2 of the best young centers in the entire competition. And every year, it's just, oh, well, if Tommy can stay fit, this team can easily be a top 4 threat. And then we do things like the beginning of this year. If you count out the last 2 weeks, we were 5-2-1 with wins over the Roosters and the Penrith Panthers. A huge win over the Penrith Panthers, which was really exciting because of the way it happened. Our forward pack was so much better than Leota and Fisher-Harris, and that was our weak point coming into the year. Obviously, the scary thing is that Parramatta lost from round 3 when we were up 14-0. That has honestly just been the case for the rest of our year. Even like against the Warriors, we should have put them away. The Titans, we were up 12-0 after a few minutes. So it's just the same old story. And when it comes to Tom, I mean, maybe it's time to have a serious conversation. I feel like we keep putting it off because, well, he is that good. And like I said, every year, every season review, every season preview, it's all about if Manly can keep Tommy fit on paper, they're a top 4, top 6 side. And I think we showed that in the beginning part of the year. Not saying that we were a premiership threat, because holy crap, our defense might be the weakest thing of all time. But we know that. We know what to talk about it from a performance-based standpoint, but from a Tommy standpoint, which is honestly the worst thing. You can always bounce back from a loss. There's no loss within nearly the year that people will remember at the back end of the year. Obviously, there's a trend for Manly that's going to be double-digit leads, but I'm not sure if they're even going to get a double-digit lead now, because Tommy being injured will change the way Manly play. Obviously, Cooler will probably be the stand-up to come in. I think that's the right choice. I think Garrick's a very good and very safe option at fullback. But honestly, at this point, Manly's starting to start preparing for life after or when Turbo gets hurt. Because unfortunately, like Pappenhausen at this point, it's inevitable. And it just sucks. Pappy last week, Turbo this week. Both guys were literally in the Origin conversation 2 weeks ago. And the competition sucks without both of them. I know a lot of people, like I said earlier, love to give Manly fans and give shit to Turbo. But you can't deny how much this sucks for the game. I get it's good for everyone else's team because it means Manly are weaker. But honestly, from the competition's point of view, you never want to see guys like this go down. The same with the Broncos and Adam Reynolds. I mean, look at Para's season's pretty much gone because they lost Moses and now they've lost Gutho. It's just a shit way. You spend all this money, you spend all this time waiting for preseason, and I get it happens, but at least it's only happened once to them. For us, it's the same cycle every single year. And it's easier to cop, I guess, when it's a pick, but it's just another hammy, and it's been a while since Tom has done his hammy. It's 6 in 6 years now, and I do think the conversation has to be had about potentially him taking a pay cut. And if Turbo's not willing to take a pay cut because from a professional standpoint, fair enough, then maybe Manly have to consider moving him on. The thing is, Manly will back themselves to get him fit, but at this point, we've been so stagnant for so long, and we're never going to be awful because of the players we got, but we need that salary cap room. I know he's probably the best player in the competition on his day, but we sent him to America to rework his running, and that's still, Tommy's still learning that because obviously he is. He's learning a whole new way to run. And the one time where he has a crack and he still misses him by a mile, but he put the foot down, he did his hammy. An obvious reason as to why he's not playing like he did in 2021, because he doesn't trust his body, and to be fair, I wouldn't either. It's just awful. It sucks as a Manly fan, and everyone else, you're allowed to make fun of it. Don't let any whining Manly fans do you. You can live with the fact you're making fun of an injured guy, but it's honestly just a rugby league kick to the dick. Manly's premiership chances are pretty much gone. I'm not going to say never because, hey, maybe this is the making of Luke Brooks or Cooler. Maybe they stand up. Maybe DC goes to another level. Although I don't know what more that bloke could do, but it's over. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in that comment section down below what are your thoughts on Manly and the Dolphins. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I'm going to go jump off a metaphorical rugby league cliff.